Hello once again. I am Doc Rodden, and this is Horror News Radio, the official Gruesome Magazine podcast. Back with me again this week are the scariest, goriest, bloodiest co-host on the net. And that means Dave Dreher, lead news writer at Gruesome Magazine. Dave, how you doing, sir?
I'm feeling the pressure. I have bloody, scary, and what else?
The scary, goriest, and bloodiest co-host.
Scary and where'd I go? Where'd I go? Back. Okay, there we go.
There you are. A little hiccup.
Bloody, scary, I would say. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't know what's going on. I'm sure
it wouldn't be a,
it was on your
live
end. See, now you're doing it.
No, I'm doing it. It wouldn't be a live show without it, sir.
That's true. Good point.
Well, what we're here doing tonight is we're heading back to horror news of the week, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight. There's no review. We're going to be talking about 5 articles that have been up in the past 7 days or thereabouts, maybe a little less. And we're just going to give our thoughts about them. And we're going to work on getting back into this groove. We were talking before the show. This is something that we used to do on every episode, but it fell on the wayside when COVID came in because there wasn't any news other than movies not coming out in the theater. And that wasn't really very fun news to talk about. So we just cut it out altogether. And we've been wanting to get back into it for some time. So here we are. And Dave, as the head news writer, is joining me tonight to talk about these 5 wonderful articles, right? I don't know how wonderful they are, but we're going to talk about them anyway. All right, up first is Salem's Lot, sir, has rounded out its cast. We now know who are going to play 5 of the major characters. We still don't know the big one, so we'll probably bring that up in a future news article. But we do know who Ben Mears, Susan Norton, Burke, Mike Ryerson, and Dr. Cody, who is playing them. And if you see the article on the screen, you know who's going to be which. But I got to talk to you, Dave, before we get into this. One, are you excited about this remake from James Wan? He's producing it. He's not directing it. It's going to be directed by Gary Dauberman, who directed Annabelle Comes Home, and of course wrote many other films as well. What is your take on this? Are you excited?
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, first off, this will be our first actual theatrical adaptation of the novel. Of course, both of the other versions were made-for-TV miniseries type things. The David Soul one, of course, became iconic. The Tobe Hooper directed one. Really not because it was that great of a miniseries. It just provided us some iconic horror moments.
It was a great miniseries. It is one of my favorite.
Well, I mean, when you compare it to the book, it was not very much like the book.
Oh, okay.
So if you were a Stephen King fan and you wanted to see an adaptation of the book, this really wasn't it. I mean, some of the character names were the same and stuff like that, but there was a lot of stuff in the miniseries that just was not true to the book. But it still ended up becoming iconic in its own right. A lot of people seen the miniseries, never read the book, and didn't even know there was a difference. But again, of course, the iconic Nosferatu like vampire, Danny Lick floating outside the window. I mean, these are iconic horror moments.
Yes.
So it served its purpose. And then we had the Rob Lowe version.
2004.
Yes. Yeah, the TNT, I think, put together, and it was more true to the book.
Was it?
But it definitely was, but it was not as well received because everyone compared it to Tobe Hooper's, and quite frankly, it didn't compare. So it was actually a better adaptation of the novel, but a lesser adaptation of the first adaptation that everyone actually liked more.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because Stephen King has faced that a lot in his work. This is Salem's Lot is Stephen King's first #1 bestseller on the New York Times.
Yeah, I get it. An iconic story, and it sounds like Dauberman's trying to kind of walk the line here a little bit. He's saying it's going to remain true to the book because in the book, Mr. Barlow is very talkative, very animated. Where of course in the miniseries he wasn't. I don't know that he really ever said anything. He was just ominous and creepy and scary, and showed up and was blue and scared the shit out of everybody.
It was very frightening. Reggie Nader, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to see, but I really like the casting of Lewis Pullman as Ben Mears. I think he's going to be great in that. And my God, does he look like his father?
Oh
Jesus.
my God, doesn't he? He gets more and more like him every day.
He really does. And now the rest of these people, I really don't know much about, but just going by their headshots, they appear to be well cast just by their appearance.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know much about their acting chops.
Well, I've seen Bill Camp and other stuff, and he's really good. I think he's Emmy nominated even. Spencer Treat Clark is a strong young actor as well, and Alfre Woodard is fantastic, and she's playing a gender swapped Dr. Cody. So, I don't know who Makenzie Leigh is, who plays Susan Norton, but she looks the part, and she looks age appropriate for Ben Mears.
Yeah, I agree.
So I like the cast, and
I do too. And I like Dauberman. I like Dauberman behind the camera. I think that's great. I think we're in good shape there. I like the fact. I mean, everyone forgets. They think of Salem's Lot as a vampire tale, which of course it is. But in the book, and actually in the original miniseries, he's not going back to slay vampires. He's going back because something happened to him in the assistant house that scared the shit out of him, that traumatized him as a child. He just stumbles across the vampire.
Yep.
And I hope that that's what we get with this, because the whole idea that there's a vampire kind of became a happy accident in the book, especially, and because it doesn't start off that way. So I am really curious, and I love the fact that this is going to be theatrical, which means hopefully an R, maybe even a strong R.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I think, like you said, Dauberman, directed Annabelle Comes Home, which was solid. He definitely showed a lot of talent. Some people like that movie, some people don't. But I think he definitely shows the chops, especially being, kind of led, if you will, by James Wan to do this. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a huge, huge movie.
I do too, and I hope they stay away from trying to recreate like the Danny Glick scene and stuff. I mean, leave that alone. Let's come up with something even more iconic.
Oh my God, yes, please, something to make us poop our pants. That's what we need. That's what the movie gave us. When I was a kid, that movie, that scene, Danny Glick scene, and a couple others, made me poop my pants.
Yeah, it's here too. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of remakes, this one is one of those Lego sequel remake things. It's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the title, and it is going to be a sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a direct sequel doing the Halloween thing where it ignores all the things in between. And it is coming from a director, David Blue Garcia, written by Chris Thomas Devlin. It's going to be produced by Fede Alvarez and Rodolfo, I can't ever pronounce his last name, Sayagues, who are the team behind Don't Breathe 2. Yes?
Yep. Correct.
It's going to star Elsa Fisher, Sarah Yarkin, Jacob Lattimore, and Mo Dunford. And the big news is that instead of going to the theaters, which we thought it was, and of course Legendary is behind it, it's heading to Netflix in October. What do we think about this there, Dave? Heading to Netflix. Now, of course, COVID's probably playing a big part of that.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I'm okay with this as a myself. I don't have the fence with this one because they're ignoring, and I agree, pretty much everything after the original needs to be ignored, with the exception of Texas Chainsaw 2. So I almost wish they'd picked up from there as opposed, but apparently we're going to end with the Marilyn Burns character running down the road, or driving away. And see where it goes from there. I'm a little bit on the fence with this one, but we'll see. Will we not? We will, in fact, see.
Yes, we will. I like the idea that it's going to Netflix. Of course, I'd love to see it in a theater, just like everybody would. But this feels like and this may be wrong of me, and correct me if I am wrong, but it feels like a movie that is probably better suited for Netflix or even Shudder. Netflix is probably a little bit. I mean, we love Shudder. We watch Shudder all the time. We talk about Shudder movies on Gruesome Magazine podcast. But Netflix has a wider audience, a global audience, and this definitely feels the right place for it. And I'm, they're making a big deal out of being, Halloween and not the movie, but the actual holiday, and it being October. So I'm all for it. It works for me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're going to watch. I kind of like the fact that Legendary is behind it now. They, if nothing else, it's going to have good production value because they don't like to turn out things that look like turds. They may not be written or acted well, but they look good. And Bad Hombre is, of course, connected as well. So, we got some talent behind the scenes. I just don't know. I don't know if we need to see a direct sequel to the original. I know.
But we're going to. We'll see what October.
Yep.
We will.
Regardless, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. All right. It's not the only sequel heading straight to streaming. We have Paranormal Activity 7, which we heard about this, and it was going to be going to theaters. But of course, now the sequel is heading to Paramount Plus in October of 2021. And I got to say, if you can still hear me, this feels right. This feels right. This is, I'm not sure about Paramount Plus because I don't think many people are watching Paramount Plus, but they should be, or they could be. It's got a couple, we won't get into all the politics of that, but it's also coming along with a documentary about the films. So I'm excited about this. Christopher Landon is returning to write the film and is being directed by William Eubank. And that's interesting because he did Underwater, which is a film we enjoyed. I want to get your opinion about this Paranormal Activity 7 heading straight to Paramount Plus. Are you like me? Is this a good thing? And what do you think about the director, which, of course, the director did Underwater, which is a film we liked from last year. So,
yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot to like about this. I really do. I like the fact that Christopher Landon wrote. I like his, Freaky was huge. Happy Death Day was huge. Mm-hmm. I liked the director. I liked Underwater quite a bit. I'm all for this. I like the fact that it's going to Paramount Plus as well. So I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, that this is like the first in several films they're planning on making and releasing to the streaming service.
Ooh, I hadn't heard.
I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. And as we're talking, I'm trying to find it. But this was brought together by Paramount Players, which is a sister studio to the actual Paramount, and they're just pretty much producing exclusively streaming material. So I think it's good. I like it. I'm still looking for that. I know I read that somewhere where it said it would be the first of several films. So I feel pretty confident in repeating that here because I know it for a fact. I read it, and of course they also announced at the same time as
I like that.
They also announced at the same time that there's going to be a documentary that's going to come out about the same time as Paranormal Activity 7.
Yep.
So
all in time for Halloween.
Good old Halloween.
Yeah, of course, Christopher Landon, has a lot of history with Paranormal Activity. He directed Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, and if I'm not mistaken, he wrote 2, 3, 4, and the marked ones. So, yeah,
definitely tied into the franchise very
definitely a big part of the franchise. So, I kind of wish he was directing it because he's a fantastic director, but. I found the quote, Doc. I'm not to interrupt, but I'm going to interrupt anyway. I did find the quote. This is from Collider, and it says, it was also revealed that this film will be one of 3 to 4 movies that Paramount Players, a sister studio to Paramount, will present each year. Nice. I wonder if they're all the genre films. And of course, William Eubank directed Underwater. We said earlier. I'm looking forward to this. Between this and Texas Chainsaw, we've got films to watch, and they're coming straight to our home televisions. I think, this is not a big thought, but it looks like this is, we're seeing things change with this COVID, that, streaming is going to be more and more a viable way for low and middle budget films to hit the audiences. I am thankful, though, while we're on the subject, that Shang-Chi, I should say, and The Legend of the Ten Rings came out this past weekend and, proved that the box office can come back to life and made $90 million over the holiday weekend. It was such good news that, Sony, this is a little bit of extra news for you, Sony bumped up Venom to October 1st because of it. So Venom 2. So there you go.
That's all good. That is all good.
All right. Let's look at some trailers, shall we, sir? Let's start off with Moonfall. Now, if you're like me, Dave, and I know you are, we love a good disaster film. And if Roland Emmerich's behind it, even better. He's made some of the best, worst disaster films.
You're not wrong.
They are absolutely spectacles and spectacular at the same time. He is writing and directing this along with Harold Kaiser and Spencer Cohen. It is arriving in theaters February 4th. The cast includes Haley Berry, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, Michael Pena, Charlie Plummer, Kelly Yu, Ernie Abakar, Carolina Barzak. I'm sure that I pronounced that right. And Donald Sutherland. I'm just going to start off, Dave. I'm so looking forward. This is going to be 2012 all over again, and I don't care. I want to see it. It looks like just, I just love a good disaster film, and this one looks like it's going to fit the bill. The moon is coming to us.
The moon comes to us.
So preposterous. What was your take on this thing?
I think it looks great as well. I'm in the same camp with you. I love a good disaster movie, especially when it's bad. I was a little disappointed not to see Dean Devlin's in there. Roland Emmerich's at his best when he's got Dean Devlin by his side. He doesn't this time. I'm not sure why, but
it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. There's kind of, to us disaster movie fans, they kind of go hand in hand. Roland Emmerich has definitely become like this generation's Irwin Allen. He just
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And,
he has led the way.
Yeah, so it looks cheesy. It looks insane. It looks preposterous, and I can't get enough of it. So this one's actually really high on my radar. This ain't coming out till what, 2022, I believe.
Oh yeah, I got 2021, and did I put 2021 in my notes?
I didn't notice, but I think it's 2022. It's early next year.
Yeah, it's February 4th, so 1st of February.
Yeah. So, it's got all the and Halle Berry. We haven't seen her for a while. At first, when I first seen the title, I'm like, that sounds like a Bond film. It just does. The title sounds like a Bond film. There's nothing like, little teases, little tidbits of some of the destruction, but it looks like it's going to be on a massive scale. I really want to see this, and they could bring this one out a little sooner for me. I don't want to wait till February.
Well, day after tomorrow, of course, right? And then 2012.
Yeah.
We really haven't gotten a big disaster film from him since 2009 and 2012 film. And of course, I guess you could say Independence Day is part of it as well, right?
Independence Day was. Yeah, Independence Day is kind of the movie that put him on. Well, Stargate, I guess, was the first.
Stargate, yeah. And then,
it was the first thing that we actually stood up and took notice, although that's more science fiction than horror. But, Independence Day, of course, was huge. Day After Tomorrow was huge. 2012 was huge. I still watch them. If I'm channel flipping and any of those movies are on, That's it. I'm sitting there watching the whole damn thing.
Yep.
Can't help it. Can't help
I
it.
am too. I am too. Oh my gosh. But yeah, there's so many. I'm
He
sitting there
did
looking at a list
Godzilla
of-
too.
He
Didn't
did.
do
He,
Godzilla?
he did the '98 Godzilla, but I wasn't going to mention it
Yeah.
because, yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to leave that out of the equation. All right, but it is just a teaser, so we don't get a whole lot. I mean, we get some visuals of just all kinds of craziness, and then there's some space play going on, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. All right, up next is our last news article for tonight. It is called The Possessed, and this is another trailer. This is coming from Chris Sun, Down Under, Australia. It is written by him and Christy Dallas, story by him and Mark Gardner. The cast includes John Jarrett. Some people, keen eyes, will recognize him by name and face. Lincoln Lewis, Angie Kent, Lauren Crimson, Jade, Kevin Foster, Melissa Cos. Yeah, sure. Rami Poehler, Sarah, Sean Lynch, and Simone Buchanan. Death is here, and it will do anything to be free. I love a good possession film. I love a good exorcism film, and I like a good comedy. And this, I can't really get a feel on the comedy, but it feels like it's got a lot of really interesting scares and gore. Now he did Boar. You remember us reviewing Boar? Were you a part of that review?
Yep. I remember Boar, of course.
Yes, and that movie had its own sense of humor. It wasn't a comedy.
Yeah.
But it had a sense of humor.
It did.
And I feel like this movie is going to have that too. I'm excited for this.
Possession movies scare me. We've had this discussion.
We've had this.
They always freak me out. It doesn't matter how many times I see them, but this one does look good. I've got one concern and one concern only, and that's this guy Chris Sun tries for style over substance. Just the trailer alone, it looks like a lot of fancy camera angles and shit like that. And it's like, no, tell a story. I don't care if you can make the dolly go from here to here, and we have to figure out how you did it.
Well, he did that. He did that in Boar. He absolutely
to a degree, but the story was good. The story in Boar was good. Like you said, it had an underlying kind of sick sense of humor, and maybe this will too. I don't know, but the trailer seems to want to highlight more of the technical savvy, and we don't really get a whole hell of a lot of story. We just see a lot of stuff that looks like, oh, that could be cool, and that might be cool, and that might be cool.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know.
Is that him or who puts the?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is that him or who put the trailer together, or maybe he?
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
exactly. We don't know, so you can't poop on it just because of that. But I don't feel the trailer was that good of a trailer. For me, it raised more concerns than making me want to go see it. But we'll see. Like you said, first trailer, maybe they'll cut it up a better one. And we've seen lots of other trailers for films that we end up going to see the film, and the film's fantastic. So, so I know you're going to make me watch this one, even though
I am.
It'll make me poop my pants a little bit, and that's okay though.
Of course, John Jarrett is from the Wolf Creek, right? Wolf Creek films and TV shows.
Wolf Creek, yep.
Playing Mick Taylor, and he's been in other things too. I'm not going to go. He was in Boar, so
yes, he was. That's right.
And he actually has in the TV show. He showed a lot different range than the movies. The TV show was really interesting. I don't know if you ever watched it. But anyway, I'm excited to see him because it looks like he's bringing some of the comedy. He's bringing some of the sense of humor.
Yeah.
And, of course, the shot that we have in our little tag with him screaming. But I'm looking forward to this. It's coming out in November, but I can't get a bead if that's only in Australia or if it's going to be stateside as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, same thing I read. It kind of shows that it's a November release in Australia for sure, and then it just kind of says upcoming, to be determined for U.S. Actually, it says 21-22 U.S., so it might be next year before we see this one.
Yeah, but I am looking forward to it. And when it comes, you will see it there, Dan.
Oh, yes, I will watch it. It does look good. It looks interesting enough to at least want to check out.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the news that we have for you tonight. Please let us know in the comments down below if you'd like for us to keep doing these. We're planning on doing them. If we can manage it every week, we are planning to do so. Of course, it depends if there's actual news every week, and I think we're getting that.
I would think so.
It's getting pretty close. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming out. So we'll see us again next week doing this, but let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We want to thank you for joining us. And if you want to help us out, hit the like button, share with a friend, hit the subscribe button. There's a bell there too. All that good stuff. You know, if you're watching YouTube, you know what I'm talking about.
You know the drill.
Others have said it far more elegantly than I just did. All right. Dave, thank you for joining me, sir.
Oh, thank you, Doc. You know, the true lifeblood of my life is being able to talk horror news with you. So I feel rejuvenated. It's like I just fed.
I don't know what to do with it. Dave, let's say goodnight.
Good night, everybody.